Self-reliance is the foundation of true power because it allows you to operate independently of the fluctuating moods, opinions, and actions of others. When your confidence, happiness, and progress depend on external approval, you are constantly at the mercy of forces outside your control. People will disappoint, circumstances will change, and even the most loyal allies may drift away. But when you cultivate self-reliance, you anchor yourself in a source of strength that no one can take away. It is the ability to stand firmly in your own capability and judgment that sets you apart from those who are constantly looking for validation and reassurance. When you are self-reliant, your actions are guided by your own principles rather than by what others expect or demand from you. You stop negotiating your values to maintain relationships or to gain acceptance, and you begin to live in alignment with your true purpose. This alignment fuels a confidence that is not fragile, a kind of inner authority that radiates through every decision you make. People may challenge you, question you, or even try to pull you down, but self-reliance creates a shield that makes those challenges catalysts for growth rather than triggers for insecurity. Self-reliance also fosters clarity of thought because you are no longer distracted by the noise of other people's opinions. You learn to trust your own judgment and intuition, to make decisions even when guidance is unavailable, and to navigate uncertainty with calm and purpose. This clarity allows you to see opportunities and threats objectively, to act decisively, and to maintain momentum even when circumstances are unpredictable. It is a mental freedom that opens doors to creativity, innovation, and strategic thinking because you are not constrained by the fear of judgment or criticism. One of the most powerful aspects of self-reliance is that it builds resilience. When you rely on yourself, every obstacle becomes a test of your capability rather than a source of despair. You develop problem-solving skills, emotional strength, and the confidence to face challenges head-on because you know that your survival and success are in your own hands. This resilience compounds over time, creating a person who's unshakable, adaptable, and relentless in the pursuit of their goals. Self-reliance transforms your relationships because you no longer approach them from a place of need or dependency. You interact with others from strength rather than weakness, choosing partnerships that are mutually beneficial instead of ones that are conditional or transactional. People respect you not because you seek approval, but because your confidence, competence, and integrity are evident in every interaction. This shift in dynamics creates an environment where collaboration is based on shared vision and value rather than fear, obligation, or insecurity. Financial independence is another dimension of self-reliance that multiplies your power. When you can provide for yourself and generate resources without relying on others, you gain the freedom to make choices that serve your long-term interests rather than short-term comfort. This freedom allows you to take calculated risks, pursue meaningful opportunities, and invest in your growth without being constrained by external pressures or expectations. It is a practical manifestation of inner strength that reinforces your autonomy in every area of life. Self-reliance also cultivates discipline, because when you cannot rely on others to do for you what you are capable of doing yourself, you must step up and take responsibility. You develop the habit of completing tasks, fulfilling commitments, and holding yourself accountable. This discipline is not motivated by fear of external judgment, but by an internal standard of excellence that you set for yourself. Over time, this internal accountability becomes a powerful engine for consistent progress and achievement. The foundation of self-reliance is self-knowledge. To rely on yourself fully, you must understand your strengths, weaknesses, values, and purpose. You must confront your fears and insecurities, acknowledge your limitations, and continuously work to expand your capacity. This level of introspection and personal growth produces a kind of power that is stable and enduring because it is grounded in reality and authenticity rather than illusion or borrowed confidence. Self-reliance frees you from the emotional volatility of depending on others. When you no longer hinge your joy, security, or success on external factors, you experience a sense of peace and stability that most people never achieve. You are able to navigate both triumphs and setbacks with composure because your identity and worth are internally sourced. This emotional independence allows you to focus your energy on growth, contribution, and strategic action rather than on anxiety, comparison, or dependency. Ultimately, self-reliance is the foundation of true power because it positions you as the master of your own destiny. It empowers you to make decisions, take action, and endure challenges without hesitation or doubt. Every skill you develop, every habit you cultivate, and every principle you uphold compounds your ability to operate independently. And this independence is what creates lasting influence and authority. Self-reliance is not a skill you acquire once. It is a continual process of strengthening, refining, and asserting your capability to live, thrive, and succeed on your own terms. Living for yourself means building inner strength, not isolation, because it is about cultivating a foundation that allows you to stand firm regardless of external circumstances. When you focus on your growth, your decisions, and your purpose, you develop resilience that no one can shake. This strength is internal. It is forged in moments of challenge, discipline, and deliberate action. It does not depend on approval, companionship, or validation, but rather on the clarity of who you are and what you are willing to do to achieve your goals. Living for yourself creates a power that comes from self-mastery rather than from external attachment. Building inner strength requires confronting your fears rather than running from them. Every time you face discomfort, uncertainty, or rejection and continue moving forward, you add another layer of strength to your character. You learn to navigate life with courage and confidence, understanding that the world will not always bend to your desires and that relying on others to carry your burdens is not a sustainable path. The inner resilience you cultivate equips you to endure difficulties and transform them into opportunities, making you less reactive and more strategic in your approach to life. Living for yourself means prioritizing your growth over pleasing others. It is the conscious decision to invest in your skills, your mindset, and your habits rather than being consumed by the expectations or demands of people around you. Strength is developed in solitude, not in dependence, because it requires consistent effort, reflection, and self-discipline. It is built through repeated action, measured progress, and a refusal to compromise your standards for temporary comfort or approval. Inner strength is a byproduct of persistent self-investment and intentional living. Isolation is not the goal. It is a misconception often associated with living for yourself. True strength is not about cutting people off or avoiding connections, but about developing the ability to thrive with or without external support. You can collaborate, love, and engage fully with the world while remaining anchored in your own resilience. This inner fortitude allows you to interact with others without fear, without dependence, and without compromising your values. Strength is expressed in presence, confidence, and autonomy, not in detachment or loneliness. Living for yourself requires emotional independence. You learn to regulate your own mood, control your reactions, and maintain a stable sense of self-worth that is not contingent on praise or criticism. When your happiness is sourced internally, external chaos does not dictate your state of mind. You become capable of navigating conflict, disappointment, and change without being destabilized by other people's actions or opinions. Emotional resilience strengthens your capacity to face adversity while remaining composed and purposeful. Building inner strength also demands self-awareness. You must understand your own strengths, weaknesses, motivations, and limitations. Self-awareness is the lens through which you make deliberate choices rather than reactive ones. It allows you to identify what serves your growth and what hinders it. Living for yourself requires the discipline to assess your own behaviors and beliefs, to challenge your own assumptions, and to evolve continually. This internal reflection produces strength that is sustainable and authentic. Strength is cultivated through responsibility and accountability. When you live for yourself, you acknowledge that your success, failure, and growth are ultimately your responsibility. You do not blame others for your circumstances, nor do you rely on anyone to fix your problems. This mindset fosters independence, persistence, and a proactive approach to life. Accountability drives action, and action builds competence, confidence, and authority over your own journey. Every step you take in alignment with your purpose reinforces your inner power. Living for yourself also entails making difficult choices that others may not understand or support. Strength is tested when you say no to distractions, toxic influences, or obligations that do not align with your goals. You develop the courage to prioritize long-term success over immediate approval, to set boundaries without guilt, and to pursue paths that may initially feel uncomfortable. These choices are the crucibles in which inner strength is forged, creating a resilience that cannot be shaken by external pressures. Physical and mental endurance are part of building inner strength. Living for yourself means committing to routines, disciplines, and habits that enhance your capacity to perform, think clearly, and persevere. Whether it is the discipline of consistent work, the focus of mental training, or the commitment to health and energy, these practices reinforce your ability to operate effectively under pressure. Strength is both internal and manifested externally through consistent action, deliberate preparation, and unwavering focus. Ultimately, living for yourself is a journey of empowerment, not isolation. It is about becoming a person who is anchored, capable, and resilient enough to thrive regardless of circumstances or the presence of others. It is about building a core that no one can destabilize, a confidence that is unshakable, and a life that is driven by purpose rather than approval. True strength emerges when you act from your own authority, make choices that serve your growth, and commit to the continual development of your mind, heart, and character. Dependency weakens standards and delays action because when you rely on others to provide motivation, validation, or direction, you lose the clarity and urgency that comes from self-accountability. Dependence creates a mindset where you wait for permission, guidance, or assistance before making decisions or taking steps toward your goals. Instead of acting decisively, you hesitate, second-guess yourself, and compromise your own standards to fit the expectations or comfort levels of those you depend on. Over time, this creates a pattern of delayed action and mediocrity, where potential is consistently postponed in favor of temporary reassurance. When you depend on others, you often lower your expectations to maintain alignment or avoid conflict. You may settle for outcomes that are below your capacity, rationalizing it as compromise or collaboration. In reality, dependency erodes your standards because your actions are filtered through the lens of what others deem acceptable. Your focus shifts from excellence to compliance, from progress to approval. Every time you accommodate someone else's comfort over your own goals, you reinforce the habit of diminished performance, and the gap between who you are and who you could be widens. Dependency also delays action because it introduces unnecessary friction into your decision-making process. When you rely on someone else to confirm your choices, provide resources, or motivate you, you create artificial bottlenecks in your progress. Opportunities require timing, and hesitation often turns potential breakthroughs into missed chances. People who depend on others for momentum find themselves stuck in cycles of procrastination, waiting for conditions that may never exist. Action becomes reactive rather than proactive, and the window for impact narrows with every moment of delay. Reliance on external factors breeds fear, which further weakens standards and slows execution. When your confidence is tied to another person's presence, approval, or guidance, the fear of disappointment, conflict, or abandonment becomes a controlling force. Fear causes you to shrink your ambitions, avoid challenges, and delay decisions that could expose vulnerability. Dependency transforms minor obstacles into major crises because without inner authority, every external variable feels threatening, and hesitation replaces bold action. Dependency also undermines personal accountability, which is essential for maintaining high standards. When someone else is expected to carry part of the load, whether emotionally, financially, or strategically, you subtly absolve yourself of responsibility. You allow external factors to dictate your pace, your effort, and your outcomes. Accountability is diluted, and with it, the discipline needed to consistently perform at your best diminishes. High standards require unwavering ownership, and dependency inherently conflicts with that ownership. The erosion of standards caused by dependency can be subtle but devastating over time. Small compromises accumulate, forming patterns of mediocrity. You start rationalizing shortcuts, settling for less, or postponing critical work because someone else will help or things will sort themselves out. Every delayed action reinforces the mindset that you are not fully capable of executing on your own, which entrenches dependency further and makes it increasingly difficult to break free from suboptimal habits. Dependency delays action because it fragments focus. When you are constantly seeking input, approval, or resources from others, your attention is divided between your goals and the needs or opinions of those you depend on. This scattered focus reduces the quality of your work, slows decision-making, and increases the likelihood of mistakes. High standards demand concentration, precision, and timely execution, but dependency diffuses all three, leaving your performance inconsistent and your results compromised. Reliance on others can also stunt your growth and problem-solving abilities. When you depend on external guidance or support, you miss the opportunity to stretch yourself, confront challenges, and develop self-sufficiency. Every problem you solve independently strengthens your skill set, resilience, and judgment. Conversely, dependency creates a habit of avoidance where challenges are deferred or outsourced, leaving you ill-equipped to navigate life's complexities. Over time, this gap between potential and capability widens, further weakening your standards. Dependency encourages a reactive mindset rather than a proactive one. Instead of taking initiative, you wait for others to act first, to signal approval, or to create the conditions for your engagement. This reactive approach slows progress, limits innovation, and constrains your ability to seize opportunities. Standards require proactive execution, anticipating challenges, setting expectations, and taking decisive steps, but dependency conditions you to react, accommodate, and delay, undermining the very principles that drive excellence. Ultimately, dependency weakens standards and delays action because it replaces self-mastery with reliance on external forces. It diminishes your confidence, fragments your focus, erodes accountability, and stunts growth. The habit of waiting for others to provide motivation or resources becomes a prison that traps you in mediocrity. To operate at your highest level, you must release dependency, cultivate self-reliance, and act with urgency, discipline, and uncompromising standards, creating a life and results that are anchored in your own capability rather than in the presence or approval of anyone else. Silence and solitude are growth accelerators because they create the space needed for deep reflection, self-awareness, and focused action. In a world filled with constant noise, distractions, and demands, Most people move through life reacting to external stimuli rather than responding with intention. Silence allows the mind to settle, to process experiences, and to identify patterns that often go unnoticed in the chaos of everyday interactions. Solitude removes external pressures and creates an environment where clarity emerges naturally, enabling you to understand yourself, your goals, and your purpose at a much deeper level. When you embrace solitude, you develop the ability to be comfortable with your own thoughts. Many people fear being alone because it forces them to confront uncomfortable truths about themselves, their weaknesses, or the gaps between where they are and where they want to be. But it is precisely in these moments of quiet introspection that personal growth occurs. Solitude provides the opportunity to examine past choices, understand your motivations, and plan strategies for improvement without the interference of external opinions or distractions. Silence sharpens focus and decision-making. In the absence of constant input from others, you are forced to rely on your own judgment and discernment. This practice strengthens mental clarity, enabling you to evaluate options, anticipate consequences, and make choices aligned with your long-term vision. When distractions are removed, your mind can operate at its highest capacity, processing information more efficiently and creatively. Silence is not emptiness. It is a tool for sharpening insight and developing strategic thinking. Solitude also builds resilience because it forces you to confront challenges and uncertainties without immediate support or reassurance. In solitude, you learn to rely on yourself for motivation, problem solving, and emotional stability. This independence strengthens character and self-trust, allowing you to navigate adversity with confidence. Growth requires discomfort, and solitude provides the environment where you face that discomfort head-on, rather than avoiding it through dependency or distraction. Silence enhances learning by creating space for reflection and retention. When you step away from the constant chatter of social interactions, notifications, and noise, you give your mind the opportunity to process knowledge, experiences, and lessons deeply. Solitude allows for the integration of ideas and the development of insights that can transform understanding into wisdom. Growth accelerates when reflection is prioritized because understanding precedes effective action. Solitude fosters creativity. Many of the world's greatest innovations and breakthroughs were born in moments of quiet contemplation. When external influences are minimized, the mind can explore ideas freely, connect seemingly unrelated concepts, and imagine solutions that might otherwise be overlooked. Silence provides the mental clarity and freedom necessary for deep creative work, enabling you to generate value independently of outside validation or collaboration. Spending time alone strengthens emotional intelligence. Solitude allows you to process emotions, understand triggers, and develop greater self-control. Silence creates a space for observing your internal state without reacting impulsively, which in turn enhances your ability to respond thoughtfully in interpersonal situations. Growth is accelerated when emotional awareness is coupled with discipline, because emotional mastery supports more deliberate and effective action in all areas of life. Solitude encourages discipline because it eliminates external accountability and forces you to cultivate internal standards. Without others monitoring your actions or providing motivation, you must rely on self-discipline to complete tasks, pursue goals, and maintain consistency. Growth is accelerated when you develop the ability to act with focus and persistence, independent of external reinforcement or approval. Silence and solitude create the conditions where this internal discipline can thrive. Silence and solitude also clarify priorities. In the absence of noise and distractions, it becomes easier to identify what truly matters, what aligns with your values, and what advances your long-term objectives. When you are alone, you can evaluate commitments, cut unnecessary obligations, and redirect energy toward pursuits that provide meaningful growth. This intentionality accelerates progress because each action is chosen deliberately rather than as a reaction to external pressures or expectations. Ultimately, silence and solitude accelerate growth because they allow for reflection, focus, discipline, and self-mastery. They create an environment where learning, creativity, and emotional intelligence can flourish, free from the influence of external demands or distractions. By embracing moments of quiet and investing in solitary reflection, you develop clarity, resilience, and independence, enabling you to act with precision, purpose, and confidence in pursuit of your highest potential. People are temporary, purpose is permanent. Expand it, and don't add any ending sentence and make it lengthy in 10 paragraphs without heading and conclusion. People are temporary, purpose is permanent because relationships support systems, and even opportunities can change or disappear at any moment, but the clarity and commitment to your purpose remain constant if cultivated. Life is full of comings and goings. Friends leave, colleagues move on, mentors retire, and circumstances shift. Those who anchor their lives primarily on the presence or approval of others are left vulnerable to disappointment, stagnation, and frustration. Purpose, however, is internal and self-sustaining. It is the compass that guides decisions, the fuel that drives action, and the framework that allows you to persist even when external conditions fluctuate or support fades away. Understanding that people are temporary changes how you approach life and relationships. It does not mean you abandon meaningful connections or ignore collaboration, but it encourages a mindset where your forward movement is not dependent on anyone else. When your energy and progress rely on external validation or assistance, you are constantly reacting to instability. Purpose, in contrast, provides a stable foundation. It allows you to navigate the inevitable ups and downs of life with consistency, knowing that the direction and meaning you pursue are anchored in something beyond the fleeting presence of others. Purpose demands clarity and self-awareness. To commit fully to it, you must understand your values, goals, and the impact you wish to create. People may offer guidance, advice, or opportunities, but they cannot define your purpose for you. That responsibility rests entirely on your shoulders. By centering your life around purpose rather than people, you cultivate autonomy, resilience, and determination. Decisions are no longer influenced primarily by who is present or absent, but by what is necessary to achieve your long-term vision. People are temporary in the sense that their support, loyalty, or engagement can shift unexpectedly. Relying on others for your momentum creates vulnerability and often results in delayed action or compromised standards. Purpose, however, is consistent. It does not fluctuate with the moods, opinions, or availability of others. Anchoring your life in purpose allows you to act with independence and confidence, knowing that even when external resources or encouragement are absent, your internal drive remains intact. When people leave or fail to provide support, it can feel destabilizing if your life is dependent on them. This is why purpose is more powerful than dependency. It endures when others cannot. Purpose is the reason you rise early, persist through obstacles, and maintain focus on the long-term goals that matter. People can guide, influence, or accompany you, but they cannot carry your mission. Recognizing this ensures that your commitment remains unwavering, even in the face of abandonment, betrayal, or loss. Purpose also protects you from distraction. When you understand that people are temporary, you stop allowing the opinions, expectations, or presence of others to dictate your choices. Life becomes less about pleasing, impressing, or holding on to people and more about advancing the vision that you have defined for yourself. This mindset cultivates focus, efficiency, and resilience, accelerating growth because your energy is directed toward what truly matters rather than being diffused by dependency or external pressures. Purpose is permanent because it evolves with you. Unlike the people who come and go, your purpose can expand, deepen, and adapt to new experiences while remaining fundamentally aligned with your values. It is a living force that grows as you grow, providing continuity and direction even as relationships, circumstances, and opportunities shift around you. By grounding your life in purpose, you create an enduring motivation that transcends external change, ensuring that your actions are consistent and intentional. People may influence your journey, but they cannot determine its trajectory. Purpose is the internal engine that powers progress, whereas dependency on others creates uncertainty and delay. Those who center themselves on people often react to availability, opinion, or approval, resulting in inconsistency and wasted energy. Those who center themselves on purpose act decisively, independently, and with clarity because the driving force is within them. Purpose is not dependent on circumstance, emotion, or presence. It is self-sustaining and enduring. Purpose also instills courage and resilience. Knowing that people are temporary equips you to move forward even when support is absent, criticism is loud, or obstacles appear insurmountable. Purpose motivates you to take risks, make bold decisions, and endure hardship because the reason for your efforts exists beyond immediate relationships or validation. People may abandon you, misunderstand you, or fail to recognize your efforts, but purpose is a constant anchor, giving you the fortitude to persevere and thrive despite external instability. Ultimately, understanding that people are temporary and purpose is permanent reshapes how you live, work, and grow. It fosters independence, accountability, and focus, ensuring that your life is guided by intention rather than external circumstance. Purpose creates continuity, direction, and resilience that cannot be compromised by the fleeting presence of others. It becomes the foundation upon which all decisions, actions, and achievements are built, empowering you to maintain momentum, uphold standards, and pursue excellence even when external support is uncertain or absent. Leaders are built when no rescue is expected because true leadership emerges from the ability to take full responsibility for one's circumstances, decisions, and outcomes. When you anticipate that someone else will save you, guide you, or fix your problems, you relinquish your power and defer accountability. Dependence creates hesitation, reduces initiative, and fosters a mindset of waiting rather than acting. Leadership is forged in the crucible of self-reliance, where challenges are met head-on without expecting outside intervention, and solutions are sought through one's own resourcefulness and determination. The absence of rescue cultivates resilience, When you accept that no one is coming to solve your problems, every obstacle becomes an opportunity to strengthen your problem-solving abilities, patience, and persistence. Leaders are tested not when life is easy or support is guaranteed, but when circumstances are difficult and external help is unavailable. By facing challenges alone, you learn to trust your judgment, rely on your skills, and develop the fortitude necessary to navigate uncertainty. Each trial becomes a lesson in self-sufficiency, shaping you into a more capable and confident leader. Leaders are also built through accountability. When no one is expected to rescue you, excuses become meaningless, and responsibility is yours alone. This accountability drives intentional action, consistency, and discipline, as there is no one else to rely on for direction, encouragement, or intervention. The ability to hold yourself to high standards, maintain focus, and follow through under pressure is what distinguishes those who lead from those who follow. Leadership is earned through consistent demonstration of competence and integrity, particularly when no safety net exists. Independent decision making is a hallmark of leadership developed in the absence of rescue. When you cannot defer to others for answers, you must analyze situations, critically weigh consequences, and make timely choices. The capacity to decide confidently, even under uncertainty, builds authority and credibility. Leaders emerge when they act decisively without relying on others to validate their judgments, understanding that mistakes are part of growth, and that correction comes from action rather than blame. This decisiveness reinforces their ability to guide, influence, and inspire others. Facing adversity without expecting rescue also strengthens character. Leaders are defined by how they respond when situations are difficult, and self-reliance in these moments cultivates courage, perseverance, and integrity. Without external intervention, you learn to confront fear, embrace discomfort, and endure setbacks without compromising your values or vision. The process of navigating hardship independently instills a level of confidence and inner authority that cannot be achieved when a safety net cushions every fall. Leaders are forged in isolation because it removes the dependency that can dilute initiative and creativity. When no one is there to rescue or guide you, innovation becomes necessary. You are compelled to find new solutions, adapt strategies, and think beyond conventional approaches. This creative problem-solving developed through necessity enhances leadership capacity, enabling you to lead with insight, flexibility, and strategic intelligence. The absence of rescue fosters ingenuity, resourcefulness, and the courage to implement bold ideas. Emotional maturity is cultivated when rescue is not expected. Leaders must regulate their emotions, remain calm under pressure, and respond rationally rather than react impulsively. The absence of external support demands self-control, reflection, and the ability to maintain perspective, which are essential traits for effective leadership. Emotional stability allows leaders to navigate challenges with clarity, guide others confidently, and sustain focus on long-term objectives even when immediate solutions are not available. Leaders built under the expectation of self-reliance also develop persistence. When no one intervenes to alleviate difficulties, you learn the importance of endurance and consistent effort. Challenges become training grounds for determination, and setbacks transform into opportunities for growth. Leadership is strengthened when you cultivate the habit of continuing forward despite resistance, fatigue, or temporary failure, understanding that the journey to success is a test of stamina, commitment, and unwavering effort. Vision is sharpened when rescue is not expected. Leaders who operate independently learn to identify goals, anticipate obstacles, and develop strategies without relying on external guidance. Purpose becomes the compass, and self-reliance becomes the engine driving progress. The discipline to plan, execute, and adapt without expecting intervention ensures that leaders are proactive rather than reactive, capable of setting direction and achieving results even in complex or uncertain environments. Ultimately, leaders are built when no rescue is expected, because every challenge becomes a teacher, every obstacle a catalyst for growth, and every decision an opportunity to assert authority and competence. The absence of dependence instills resilience, accountability, courage, creativity, emotional maturity, persistence, and strategic thinking. Leadership emerges not from comfort or support, but from the relentless pursuit of solutions, the commitment to responsibility, and the willingness to act decisively in the face of uncertainty, shaping individuals who can guide themselves and others with strength and clarity.